The starting point behind my paintings is normally something personal. It could be something I've experienced or a particular moment or memory that I'm revisiting. And sometimes this could be like a very ordinary thing that doesn't feel very substantial at the time, but on reflection, kind of ideas around it evolve, and then I begin to see it in a different way, or the way I start framing it through drawings and paintings make me realise that there's something about it that I want to kind of hone in on or emphasise. It could be a particular feeling or a particular viewpoint or perspective on the scene, which I find interesting. Recently, I've been making these paintings of train windows, and I was on a train in France last summer. I started thinking about the space of the train carriage and also the frame of the window. What was exciting about that was the shifting perspectives you get when you're on a train. So sometimes the trees might be really close up, and then seconds later they're in the distance, and this idea of things being near and things being far, and this shift of perspective and zooming in on and out of things was the thing that was really exciting. The reason why it's interesting to talk about that in relation to my paintings more generally is I think I've begun to see that as a sort of metaphor for how I'm thinking about painting in general. Like, I'm always thinking about shifting perspective and framing things and zooming in on and out of things, and that's why those paintings in particular kind of encapsulate what I'm doing. The thing I start with is always drawing. I make charcoal drawings and I make lots of them, and normally if I've finished a series of paintings or a body of work, I'll go back to drawing maybe at least for like a month or something and just make lots and lots and lots, because that's where kind of any thoughts or initial ideas, that's where they start. The drawings are normally made from my imagination, and they're the kind of like initial imprints of an idea, which is really important because the paintings are much more planned. The drawings kind of hold more of a raw idea or convey, and I always use charcoal because it seems to work in sync with the imagination in a nice way, because you can move it around so easily and rub things out. And it's also very painterly because there's a lot of kind of adding and taking away. The paintings normally come from those drawings. I try not to look at photos for reference imagery, just because I want to rely more on the drawings, because that's what came from my imagination. But occasionally I will look at them if I'm trying to depict something specific. If I'm in the midst of lots of paintings, I will be painting. The drawing is normally a thing that I'll do in a big burst at the beginning of making lots of paintings. So kind of that's why they're a really significant part of the process, because they inform the painting so much that if I don't have that time drawing, like for 3 weeks or a month or whatever, I'm like building my material, and then I'll do the painting. So if I'm in a drawing phase, I'll come in and draw. If I'm in a painting phase, I'll come in and paint. Occasionally, if I'm trying to figure something out, I might return to the drawing for a bit, if there's something that's not quite getting in the paintings. But yeah, and I also do a bit of writing, because a lot of the ideas I have, like I was saying, like if there are like, you know, certain moments or ordinary things that happen, I like to write them down. Like, maybe even do like a really quick pencil sketch, like very simple, of the composition, because paintings do often come to my mind when I'm like doing other things, like when I'm not in the studio, like just walking down the road or getting in the shower or getting into bed, and then suddenly it just pops in my head, and that's actually the best feeling. I didn't initially go to art college for my BA, so I studied art history because I was very interested in writing and reading and research and obviously art. but I didn't really have the confidence to go straight into doing a fine art degree. The reason I wanted to return to it and then do a master's was because I hadn't really had that experience of that period between doing a BA in art history and actually deciding to do the master's. I was still kind of figuring things out. I think when you're kind of on your own doing something, you don't have the experience of working kind of in a studio environment with other artists and learning from them and having the conversations. It's really difficult to build confidence or a sense of what you're doing within the context of making, and that's why I wanted to do the masters. But I'm kind of glad that I did a few other things in between.